Okay, we are on page 2. As Orthodoxy continued to lose ground to the non-observant Jewish population, the rejectionist position gained traction within the mitzvah-centered community. The opinion hardened that strong measures were needed to insulate true Torah Jews from their sinful brethren, and to distinguish between those who observed the mitzvot and those who rebelled against Torah. Remember, there is a precedence for this with the Am Haaretz and the Chaver. Okay, but as the hard line positioned gained sway regarding non-Orthodox Jews, it also had a profound impact on Orthodox views relating to the acceptance of non-Jews as converts. And this is a bad thing. Since Orthodox rabbis increasingly emphasized mitzvah observance as the essence of Judaism in order to differentiate clearly between themselves and the reformers, they came to see the conversion process as entailing a full commitment by the convert to observe all the mitzvot. Eventually, the position arose that any conversion that took place without the convert's total mitzvah commitment was not a valid conversion at all. Now, keep in mind, we've been converting people for over 1,300 years before the Common Era. This is in the 1800s that this is happening. So, this is like 3,000 years of history, and all of a sudden we're changing it now for the first time in the 1800s. And when it says that it was not a valid conversion at all, this is why I debated, should I go over this first or should I do the laws? Because you're going to see what in this article, but also after this article, when we go through the laws, this is not just dishonesty by omission. The laws say the exact opposite. It gives you examples of people who came with ulterior motives. I'm not saying that's the ideal way to do it, but then it shows if they were converted, this is a valid Jew and his kiddushin is valid. He can marry into the Jewish people. This is not only the law, there's going to be examples and precedents for this and reasons why it is that way, along with thousands of years of it being this way. So, once you know the laws, you see how outrageous it is for them to say these things, which are just completely false. But anyway, moving on. Professors Avi Zagi and Zvi Zohar, in their study of halakhic literature relating to conversion, they suggested that the first halakhic authority to equate conversion with the total commitment to observe mitzvot was Rabbi Yitzhak Shmelkes, and this was not until 1876 of the Common Era. Rabbi Shmelkes wrote, "The basic principle with regard to converts in our times is to ensure that they truly take upon themselves to perform the central beliefs of religion, the other commandments, and Shabbat, which is a central principle because a Shabbat desecrator is an idolater." Interesting that we see today how many born Jews do desecrate Shabbat publicly and are given honors in front of the community, just because they are halakhically Jewish, because their mother is Jewish. But a convert who does the exact same thing and is also halakhically Jewish is not treated that way. He is treated like someone who never even converted, which is against Halacha, illegal to do, but happens anyway. So if he undergoes conversion but does not accept himself upon himself to observe Shabbat and the commandments as mandated by the religion, he is not a convert. He ruled, and we're talking about this rabbi in 1876. He's ruling as if he had the authority to change something here. He ruled if he undergoes conversion and accepts upon himself the yoke of commandments, while in his heart he does not intend to perform them, it is the heart that God wants, therefore he has not become a convert. This is in him trying to overrule the existing halacha. I don't see where he has the authority to do this, but it actually gets worse. Rabbi Isaac Sassoon's research on the topic of conversion led him to the writings of Akiva Joseph Schlesinger, and the date here is 1922, an influential European halakhist whose views were in some ways even more extreme than those of Smelkis. Rabbi Schlesinger believed that a convert should not only accept the mitzvot, but should adopt the appearance of European Orthodox Jews. He says, make sure once the checks, searches, and intimidations of the prospective converts are done, that they take it upon themselves to be of the number of the downtrodden Jews, recognizable by their distinctive names, speech, and attire, and where applicable, by tzitzit, side locks, and beard. Things like side locks and beard, you are not legally required to have. And if you want to grow out a beard, you can. It's not prohibited. But if you want to trim your beard, not with a razor blade, but with, electric razor, this is totally allowed. So to say you must do something that you're not mandated to do by mitzvot or halacha, this is what he's saying you have to do. You're going to look like us. You're going to do whatever we say. Because if you don't, we won't convert you. And we will illegally nullify your conversion after the fact if we don't like something that you've done. The views of Rabbi Smelkis, Schlesinger, and others of like-minded emerged as mainstream Orthodox halacha up to our own day, today. This is true not only in the Haredi Orthodox world, but also in the establishment institutions of so-called modern Orthodoxy. And again, I'm reading the article here, which says, when I was a rabbinical student at Yeshiva University, this was from 1967 to 1970, he says, we learned practical halacha from Rabbi Melech Schechter. He articulated the position of Rabbi Shmelkis as though it were absolute, uncontested halacha. In a 1965 article, Rabbi Schechter wrote, needless to say, conversion to Judaism without commitment to observance has no validity whatever. I think it means to say whatsoever. And the spuriously converted person remains in the eyes of halacha a non-Jew as before. Now again, when you know the laws, you understand not only is there no source for this, there's actually sources that say the exact opposite. Which is why this is so upsetting that it's being taught this way to people who are not going to question it. They're just going to assume that what they're being told is true. Which is why we're going to include the law and the sources so you can read it for yourself and know where to find it when you need to show somebody what it actually says. Back to the article. When a generation after me, my son Haim, studied for smicha at Yeshiva University from 1991 to 1995, his teacher of practical rabbinics told his students not to perform a conversion unless they were willing to bet $100,000 of their own money that the convert would be totally observant of halacha. Essentially, he was echoing the view that conversion to Judaism equals 100% commitment to observe mitzvot. Without such a commitment, the would-be convert, without such commitment by the would-be convert, the conversion lacks halakhic validity. Now, this is found nowhere in the law. Once a person converts, if they do something they're not supposed to do, the person that converted him is not held accountable. We have no way of predicting the future and knowing what these people are going to do. And, what else in life would you say, I won't do something for you unless I can bet $100,000 of my own money that you're going to do something that we can't predict. We're going to gamble on this. It's, absurd. Now, I understand you may be thinking, okay, it's not literally betting $100,000. We're just saying we want to be sure this guy is committed. I get that. But then to say that otherwise, without such a commitment, the would-be convert, the conversion lacks halakhic validity, my friends, stick around to read the law. The conversions do not lack validity. It is the exact opposite. Once a conversion has happened, this would be like saying, well, if a person was born Jewish, but then he ate something that was not kosher, his halakhic validity is gone. This is not a halakhically a born Jew. It does not work that way. A person born Jewish to a Jewish mother, or a person who has converted, there is no way to nullify the conversion. And we're going to continue on page 3, and we'll see some examples of this coming up very soon.